You're super new as a player of D&D. Well, Phoenix, with what we're gonna do in our workshop, and by hanging out here, if you ever have a question, always ask. Always ask. What does this mean? What's a so and so, etc. This is the most perfect crowd to be with for that. Know that you are welcome, and I hope that our workshop here can give you some good ideas as well, because you are also not the only newbie to D&D in this community. You're very close on your second D&D time character? Oh, so you're going to make a second, like a backup character for D&D time, Cold Spark. Yeah, thank you, Obi Bob, for stopping by. Always. Tales from the Tabletop, cool character stuff. And then with what Old Port was sharing as well, all that stuff is welcome. I love hearing what's happening at your tables. All right, now what was I talking about then with us being able to, as role playing as dungeon masters? How can we extract world building data from a character sheet? Because isn't a character sheet what, oh, that's a cool emote. I really like that emote, Obi Bob. I really do. Oh, okay, you already have a backup for D&D time. Got it. You know, Pete and Jeremy over there have a unique way of naming characters. If you go over to their Discord channel and ask them about it, they'll guide you through it. It's really cool. So if we're role-playing Dungeon Masters and we're saying, all right, 6 friends, I want you to make a character that you really want to play, and go ahead and bring them to me, and let's look him or her over and talk about the character. Because it's also going to give us plenty of inspiration for building a story to build a world. And starting with the first character we made this week, Turali Fisiel. Which, by the way, talking about interesting names, the character names from this week were very interestingly done as well. How do you maximize the multi-class, and how do you determine which way to go? You gotta let me know what you mean by maximize the multi-class. Because any class can multi-class with another one well. So it just depends on, you know, what flavor do you want to bring, or do you just want to try something fun? Our multi-classes were random. Custis Lupus says, do I let you know about trades here? Let me know on Discord. If you want to do a trade, you can post on Holds and Trade. And then if the other person is like, yeah, we're doing this, and then I'll swap your figures around. Yeah, King, I agree. Go for the most fun. Yes, there are builds that mathematically are better in terms of like damage per round output or maximizing every little thing, but you shouldn't feel like you have to go with those types of builds in order to play D&D, enjoy your character, and have fun. So now for Turali here, this was just a pure Aberrant Mind Sorcerer that we made. And going through here, when we're telling a story, he's a pirate. And we ended up giving him the bad reputation background feature. Because it seems like everywhere he goes, misfortune follows. And that is partially perhaps due to his interesting appearance and his set of skills. People have said the only reason to multi-class is to gain certain skills or advantages. That's not the only reason, Phoenix. Multi-class to have fun. Play a barbarian wizard. You can. We made a barbarian wizard multi-class, actually. It was a lot of fun to do. But that's not the only reason. I mean, yes, if you want to min-max stuff, you're building 20 levels ahead, and you want like to perfectly weave abilities. Yes, then multi-classing can let you fine-tune that. Or again, build whatever you want to have fun. Name 50 examples. Go. Hey, Delcorin. Oh, you baffled the text-to-speech. Obligatory sub-message here. Thank you very much, Delcorin. So what was a fun fact from this person's history? Right, to him, a tavern brawl is a nice way to get to know a new city. Now, that doesn't mean that he fights in the tavern. He just likes watching it. And so, if the setting is right, he might use his influence to set things off and to see what happens. What are these people like in a fight? Or just maybe he wants to size someone up. He stretches the truth for the sake of a good story. Someday he'll own his own ship and chart his own destiny. He extremely he values the ship even above the captain and crew. And once he starts drinking, it's hard for him to stop. Though from what his personality was telling us, and everything else that was built or baked into the character, as we chose our metamagic based on his personality, we chose his skills based on his personality. And his feats also, because he went all feats instead of ability score improvements. That's how it rolled. An inspiring leader, an actor, observant, and a tavern brawler. So a fun fact, let's see, he is saving up for his own ship. And after... Let's see. He's pretty old. He's a middle-aged elf around 352 years. And after the last 100 years of saving, he is really close to that goal. And let's also speak to how he became an Aberrant Mind Sorcerer with something like this. All right, his lucky charm is trinket number 98. And if we go to chapter 5, because all of our characters ended up having trinkets, and in a very fun, it writes itself, by the way, is a phrase we use often on this channel. In a fun way, all the trinkets do an excellent job at showing just how this person may have stumbled across his or her powers. A glass jar containing lard with a label that reads Griffin Grease. And so this sailor, or this, as he was a kid growing up, a pirate, grew up on a pirate ship. Part of his bad reputation might even be, oh, he served aboard old so-and-so's vessel a long time ago. Even though he's not a cutthroat pirate anymore, he still has a reputation. Along the lines of sailing the seas, he uncovered this jar of supposedly lard, and it's labeled Griffin Grease. Now, whether or not it actually is, however, upon touching it or even eating it, because you can use lard to fry your foods and whatnot, perhaps Griffin isn't the correct word, as this seems to be maybe a part of a body of an entity, something that had entered his own body. And kind of like the Venom symbiote has joined with him to grant him these powers. Yeah, we probably do need an "It Writes Itself" emote, Coffee Cat, because it happens so often. We could make that a BTTV emote. And no, Phoenix, ask questions. Absolutely, always ask questions. Just because I'm going over content over here doesn't mean you can't ask your own questions. He may very well bet on the brawls, Raz. Watching, causing, or participating in the brawl, says GM Vault. And remember, we're role-playing as DMs who are taking a look at what our friends submitted to us, because this is a character that he or she really wanted to play. And the substance in the jar is the source of his power and has called him to a location to meet with others. Now, as a dungeon master, then, what are some setting prompts that we can take from this character? Well, first of all, we have a sailor. So there's some kind of great body of water. Whether it's an ocean, an inland sea, it could be a great lake, kind of like what I have not that far away here in Ohio. Setting prompts, great body of water. And this could also include, things like harbor towns or islands. What are some other setting prompts that we as DMs can take from the character sheet we've been handed? This isn't even without a simulated conversation with the player. So a tavern brawl is a nice way to get to know a new city. So there's probably going to be, that's why it's plural, there's probably going to be cities that this person's aware of, that are at least along the shore, the coast somewhere. That could even mean that there is maybe one particular tavern that this character loves to go back to and watch things take place. So let's put this down as a special tavern. Because that's also a place that we can stretch the truth to tell our tales. And a place to start drinking, right? Someday I'll own my own ship and chart my own destiny. Another reason for a harbor town. However, this could also end up manifesting as a particular shipwright. Maybe he's been building a custom ship, piece by piece somewhere. So there's a shipwright company or location somewhere. Yeah, some kind of an old sailor's tavern. And we can do a very easy practice for this, Raz. Because I'll show you in the Dungeon Master's Guide. If we go to creating adventures. And by the way, these are workshops that we do too, or where we will create a setting and we'll go from there. We'll say that the favorite tavern of this character is... Here we go. It is called... Actually, let's do this. Phoenix Rising, can you do me a favor and type exclamation point 2D20? And you also asked, what about patrons? I've always loved the idea of having a destiny, but my DM shut it down real fast. Patrons as in your DM doesn't want you playing a warlock? Or what did you mean by that, Phoenix? Can you clarify, please? Hey, Paisy, can't stay long, Maddie, but I wanted to hop in and say hello from the... Oh, yeah. I saw that the autumn tournament's going on, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Paisy's over there. It's past 5 a.m., still so much work to do. Yeah, have a great stream, Paisy. Thanks for stopping by. Paisy, can you put a link to your to that speedrun marathon here for us real quick? All right, so TJ's rolling the 2D20 here. Rising, were you still around? Maybe not. That's fine. So TJ's going to supply us the name of this Old Salt's Tavern here. It is the 14 and 4. That's going to be the Frowning Pegasus. And the type of tavern it is We're gonna, I'll tell you what, Raz, can you type in exclamation point 1D20 for me? Oh, Charlie the Unicorn with wings. Huh, that's weird. I don't know why the command didn't go off. Oh, there we go. It stops on a 10. All right, thank you, Rez. And Paisy, thanks for sharing that. So yeah, Paisy's out there working at the ESA marathon for the UK. Oh shoot, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, UKSG. Their autumn program. Yeah, there's a delay. All right, so the type of tavern. Oh, it's a Thieves Guild hangout. All right. Now, he may not know that. And of course, our player playing this character may not know that. However, we as DMs know this. All right, now what about... Oh, that's right, UKSG. Yep, got it. Yep, Paisy, I'm not paying you lip service when I say I watch ESA stuff. In fact, after this stream, maybe I'll drop a dono over there. Yeah, and you know what, Raz, we could very well say instead of a Thieves Guild hangout, if we want to make this a Portside Tavern, we're the DM. This is a pirate hangout, which is kind of the same thing but different. In fact, maybe his old crew hangs out there. You know, but he bought his freedom from them by, you know, by giving them a portion of treasure, and they released him. And since then, he's been saving and saving, because if he saved enough to buy out his you know, his piratature. I know it's kind of made that up. It sounds interesting though. It's an investiture in being a pirate. If he bought that out, he can buy a ship. Custos, yes, it is. Of course, so Paisy, if you're gonna still be there for several more hours, then when I finish up, I'll go over and I'll drop a little Medi Morgs dono. Now, what about NPCs? Can we come up with some kind of an NPC or several from this character's existence? And really, I should actually put villain/rival for here. You know, a rival could be an NPC, but it can, as they're more detrimental, maybe not directly, you could pair him with the villain here. He's no longer a pirate. Otherwise, I'd probably not, though, Paisy. So what kind of NPCs might we create? Well, we have we're an inspiring leader. So whatever ship that we're on, there's already the crew of, and you know what? There's a ship. There's a way we can create a ship name. The crew of X, not the pirate ship. Because the villain or rival could also be the crew of Y, former pirate ship. Oh yeah, there's so many options. Hey Grimvex, welcome. Now, if we do entertain that a setting prompt could be someone that we're building a ship with, we could very well have also a banker of some kind that would be an important NPC to us, and the shipwright that it will be building our ship. You're here for the long haul. All right, Paisy, then you'll know when we're gonna come over. And you know what? Probably the bartender or the Frowning Pegasus. Or the owner. Now, let's see. If we have this here... If we open up the Ghosts of Saltmarsh quickly... Here we go. Ship names. Paisley, can you do me a favor and type exclamation point 2D20? Raz, you think the one that he once built is going to be the big brawler? 7 and 3. So the ship he's currently serving aboard is called Drunken Brawler. Maybe he wow, this worked out very eerily. It writes itself, everyone. Raz. So maybe he's gonna buy out the ship that he's serving on. Like maybe the captain, when he retires, like will sell the ship to him because he's been so loyal. So yeah, we have the Drunken Brawler. This is this is so eerie that it's working out for a character like this. My gosh. Yeah, nice, huh? Hark, exclamation point 2D20 to get the pirate ship name that he used to be on, and that is acting as a rival or an enemy in some way. 12-5. The Jolly Dragon. Hey, Marlboro, welcome. He's probably really good or could be bad with the wharf master at the docks. Oh, yeah, that's true. So we can put that as an NPC prompt. Excellent. And by the way, you know, if you want to come up with a crew member name, it's all here. Ship purpose, all of it. It's wonderful. What if the Drunken Brawler is actually a traveling fight club with a sub-focus in piracy when they get bored? If it's pirate, let's say he's not currently a pirate. Now, he has experience, but maybe that doesn't mean it's not necessarily a privateer vessel or something along those lines. But yeah, it could very much just be sort of a floating spectacle ship. Have a dragon skull and cross wings as the Jolly Dragon's flag. Oh, that'd be really cool, Raz. If any of you have a slight artistic flair in 5 minutes to draw that up, I'd love to see it. And you know what? My gosh, this works out so well. With this character who loves watching a fight in a new city, the ship pulls into port. Maybe people go to the ship because, you know, what if pit fighting's not allowed in the tavern or dueling or whatever? But on the ship it is, right? It's kind of like you go out to international waters and suddenly you can gamble even though, you know, the state off of which you're sailing wouldn't allow for it. Something like that. I don't want to roll crew names right now. We could come back and do it with a little time afterwards because I want to pull prompts first, like the major prompts. So there's that. Now, what about no, you know what we could do? What we could do, Hark? If we left and perhaps there is a particular pirate, whether it's the captain of the Jolly Dragon or maybe it was a rival on the ship, but who actually means us harm, not just to kind of razz us every now and again. What if there is actually a villain out there against us, or someone that perhaps that we beat, or a tavern owner, or something that that really despises us because we look weird, you know, bad luck follows us where we go. We can. Why don't we give sort of an old sea salt name to this villain? Marlboro Man, can you please type exclamation point 2D20? 17 and 5. So our major rival or the villain who might want to see us, like, you know, like back on the ship because you're like, we're such a good pirate. Why did you leave? And so he's going to try and baffle us at every turn to make it maybe that we can, that's the only option we have, or to bully us back in. His or her name is Pretty Whale. Or at least that's what everyone calls this character. And Pretty Whale is... that's multi-class, but I'm not rolling for that, so let's... Okay. Pretty Whale is a female dwarf, in particular. A female hill dwarf that is, I mean, a pirate, but a ranger, a beastmaster ranger. Right? This is how easy that these ideas can come to us. Female hill dwarf ranger beastmaster. I'm not going to worry about the height and weight with this initial, you know, because we're just looking for prompts. We just want to draw some material from the character sheets in this exercise. Yeah, there could be a pet whale or dolphin that accompanies the pirate ship, and they actually work in tandem. Oh, and you know what, Cold Spark? Of course, we have a ranger who's a captain of the pirate ship. The ranger, you know, kind of has trained this whale to help them corner ships or slow them down so that the pirate ship can overtake them. I think that works very well. And you know what? Oh, what makes this work even better, everyone? Take a look at this. Because we have invasive thoughts, we can speak to animals. They don't reply back, but we can speak to animals. On top of that, we have a swimming speed. Or we can get a swimming speed. We can change our body a flying speed. And so we become aquatic, or sort of just strange or displaced in some way. And so in this case, you know, maybe our sorcerer here was a right hand of Pretty Whale at some point in time. And he left because he just was either tired of the life or wanted to move on or do something on his own. This works. It writes itself exactly, Cold Spark. Maybe not with words, but with images of what you want to say. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So everyone, look at this. It completely random. And so we have the Jolly Dragon piloted by Captain Pretty Whale. And so, of course, if you want to come up with the name for the whale, unless the whale's name is also Jolly Dragon, so you have the ship. So everyone keeps talking about the Jolly Dragon, and how can the Jolly Dragon be in two places at once or whatever? People are like, oh, the Jolly Dragon's actually a living ship. It kind of is. But that would be a cool gimmick for a pirate to have trained a whale to come up and distract or to hamper a ship so that the pirate ship can catch up. And then, of course, we have someone who can speak to animals anyway, and go from there. He was probably a first mate because he has actor and he has an inspiring leader. And so now we've made a villain because Pretty Whale is upset that Torali has left to pursue his own destiny. And, let's see. Any other... I don't know if there's anything that would be an obvious villain for this character. We can read into things as much as we'd like to, but even having just one prompt is fine. Now, what about a moral or thematic prompt? Yeah, Custos, we could have a jilted lover somewhere. We never really talked about him being in any sort of a romantic, relationship. Doesn't mean that he hasn't. Look, he's middle-aged. He's been around the sea for 340 years or whatever. That was 352. So yeah, he probably has made some enemies from even former lovers. Now, but what would be a moral or a thematic prompt for this character? I don't know if he's necessarily like a redemption story. Probably a moral would be what's Aesop's fable, the grasshopper and the ants. So a moral could be patience. Patience is a virtue. And long-term goals and savings. And probably because of his history or doing things like stretching the truth for the sake of a good story and aspiration, sometimes we do the wrong things for the right reasons. So I think that works well. I can see her naming the whale dragon and trained it so well it causes mayhem like it was a dragon out in the open sea. Now, interestingly enough, what if that jar of griffin grease was actually maybe some of the whale's fat? Or the whale could even play into the ocean entity. Doesn't have to. Because if you're storytelling, your players might want to immediately jump to that. It's the whale, it's the whale. And meanwhile, the whole time you're like, it's a whale. The whale isn't necessarily the patron. It could even be from a previous whale. Yep. All right, now what about Speary Starry Eyes here? Speary Starry Eyes is a Lightfoot halfling aberrant mind sorcerer. She's an astronomer. That particular branch from the sage background. She knows where to find information if she doesn't already have it, and or she knows to whom she should go to find it. She speaks slowly when talking to idiots, which almost everyone is, compared to me. And she's also horribly awkward in social situations. Her ideal is the pursuit of power. Knowledge is the path to power and domination. Her bond is that she's been searching her whole life for the answer to a certain question, and she's easily distracted by the promise of information. Now, what led her to become an aberrant mind, whereas our pirate went to the sea, she looked to the stars. And in particular, we have Trinket 94. Trinket 94, right? We had a 98 and then we had a 94. A mosaic tile with a multicolored glazed surface. And what this led us to consider her mind reorganized after she found or received a mosaic tile that, when held to the sky, unraveled a mind-bending revelation from the stars. Since then, she has been exclusively subjecting herself to its influence in order to understand and even control it. All right. What are some setting prompts that we can get from this character? Well, she has to have some kind of a research station. And if she is a star watcher, if she's an astronomer, now she could work in a, in a classroom setting, or, she could work kind of anywhere.
Subway 300 bonus 30 still saving for mini box.
Still saving for a mini box. All right, James, I made sure that your last 110 was noted on your list as well. So I'll make sure that that 330 gets up there too. Well, there went my power. There was a lightning strike across the street. Oh no, Custos. Well, if you got to get going to save your battery, I totally understand. And I appreciate you hanging out with us. Some setting prompts. We have some kind of either a monastery. Oh. Monastery or research facility. As well, we probably have some kind of maybe an observatory on a hill or in a tower. What are some other setting prompts? You're in it until the battery dies or the power comes back. Whichever happens first. The race is on. All right, we got to quickly get through this, everyone, for Custos Lupus here. Maybe the tile has a constellation painted on it, and she realized that there's an extra star. Yeah, so the thought, Raz, when we made her, is she held this mosaic tile to the sky, and it completed a starry pattern in some way that, like, the whole time, it's been here watching us. No one ever put a constellation in this part of the sky because the stars were just so random. They never made sense. And suddenly, when she received this mysterious tile, and she held it up, and the pattern, right, the pattern on her starry eyes just sort of like burned into her mind. And she realized how do I pronounce it? Dinin, dine? No. Din, not dinner. Did I pronounce that? Din, not dinner. I got it. Yeah. There we go. Jinx. Haha. Now someone has to say her name 3 times. Din, not dinner. Din, not dinner. Din, not dinner. Yeah, it took me a second, but I got it. Welcome, yeah. Welcome, Raiders. What were you up to before coming over to say hi to us? Let us know about what you're doing in broadcasting. I love to know what y'all are up to. Oh, your bi-weekly D&D session. What was happening at your table? And while you say this, I'm also gonna go back. Hey, Misfit, welcome. We're doing a workshop too, so I'm gonna be addressing that, but I'm still reading chat. So she completed this sequence in this part of the sky that was just considered, it's kind of no man's land. It's empty. Not even sailors navigate by those stars because they're just whatever. And then her mind broke when the mosaic tile completed it, and suddenly she realizes there the whole time. It's been there. It's been waiting and watching. It was rough. Are you the DM then? We fought our first legendary monster, killed and got attacked by a plot armor character that was wiping out monsters chasing us. Now, was the plot armor expected, or is it like, you know, the DM's pet kind of a thing? Misfit is dancing sheepishly. Well, I guess you're pandering to sheeps then. It was expected. Oh, okay, you knew what you're getting into. And then so you're not the DM, you're a player, correct? Okay. Yeah, Misfit, yeah. I mean, look, we have a couple wolves in the community. I know we have a couple sheep. We have a couple cats. We also have some wolves. So can you dance wolfishly as well? Well, Din, I'm glad you had a good time. And especially that emergency evac scroll really seems like it paid off. But yeah, thank you for giving us a chance in rating us and seeing who we are and what we have going on here in our corner of Twitch D&D. You even stole it from him? All the sweeter. Oh, goodness. So she has this research area. There's probably also somewhere some kind of a library. A library. That she accesses information. Now, if she's awkward in social situations, I mean, all of these could be as well. So I don't know if that's really prompting any kind of a setting clue. Now, what about an NPC? I think this character, she's antisocial, though she's gonna have to talk to someone somewhere. There's probably some kind of either a monk or professor that she is responding to, like either has to answer to, or they share an area or something along those lines, as well as a librarian of some kind. Yep, the librarian. There you go, Raz. But she's she's an antisocial character. So she's not evil or anything. But she doesn't have a tremendous social network. So monk or professor or librarian, or just as a catch-all, the fact that she's a researcher, this could just be, random people that the researcher background feature would prompt. And so, Din, not dinner. We're doing a workshop, which is capping off a week's worth of random character creation based along the new Unearthed Arcana playtest material that has come out. And so now our roleplay exercise in the workshop is we're roleplaying as DMs. We have 6 friends that made characters and are bringing them to us. And we're reviewing the characters and seeing what we can extract from them to build a compelling setting and story prompts so that our players are going to be absolutely hooked into the story and want to participate, and it will help touch on the different elements that the characters have. Now, as for a villain, would someone like this is a good question. She may not intrinsically have sparked some kind of a villain. I mean, maybe not a straight-up villain. Now, if we want to go villain or rival, she may have a rival researcher. Someone who is doing similar research. Like a rival professor or researcher. But the entity that she's studying could be a villain. you know, whatever this great astral what's-a-who's it is that she's uncovered, that could end up being a BBEG. It's just because it's been there. It's been waiting for someone to unlock it from its slumber or its prison, you know, hidden behind the stars, yet they're watching the whole time for someone to receive the key, which is the mosaic tile, and then unlock. So we could have a rival professor and then maybe just a BBEG, you know, cosmic horror. The villain. See, I like what you say there, TJ, and in fact, that could even come down here to the moral or thematic prompts for storytelling. Because we have someone who comes across as crass and antisocial, right? She's awkward in social situations. She speaks slowly to everyone because everyone is dumb. You know, she's starting with the halfling in the mirror. She's asking her to change her ways. And no message is going to make any difference, or this message is going to make a difference. You got to make the world a better place. So take a look at yourself and make a change. Ooh. Change yourself from the inside, not the outside. Others aren't enemies, and you may just have to rely on others for help to be stronger, not merely power. And we're back, says Donnie. Welcome back. Trapped in a space between spaces. Ooh. We didn't even go through the spells. We could do that later tonight, though. The spells also will tell the story for about where a character's been, what he or she has done, because you have those spells for a reason. You know, because you got them to adapt to a situation or whatnot. Yeah, put him in a straitjacket and give him an enema. Ah, give him an enema and then put him in a straitjacket. So that's Speary Starry Eyes. Now, what about Colonel Tripp's Ravar Watercourser? This is when we went over to our Warlock build. So, fun fact, retired from a Marine unit. He went on to serve to make the world a better place for the descendants of those he lost in service. And what about how he got his patron and his powers? Well, he also had a trinket, and his trinket was number 14. And trinket 14 was an enormous scale, perhaps from a dragon. An enormous scale, perhaps from a dragon. Hey, Pouty Lips, welcome. A scale he received as a battlefield trophy has led him on a quest for truth and acts as a conduit to his Lurker patron. What are you doing that's making them pull their hair out, Misfit? You think that the scale is from Pretty Whale? We could link it. We could link them, absolutely. Make some bonds between the characters. A Mad Mage's tower with all kinds of messed up traps and puzzles. I look forward to hearing about how it goes then, Misfit. Mimics and polymorph creatures. Yeah, it's well, at least the Arnold Palmer version it's brewed in Canada. Cuz it's called Arizona tea. It's not brewed in Arizona. At least the Arnold Palmer is brewed in Canada. Could be. Nobody said that Pretty Whale. The whale was fully just a whale. That's absolutely correct. If we were to do a character map, I think we could boop, 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 put two lines to the same circle. And a mirror maze. Oh, excellent. We're just doing that mirror maze dungeon last week, Misfit. So I super want to hear how something like that goes. You know, Patty, that's what you said is like a low-key, like a slam that Snapple would take at Arizona. So when you take the lid off of Snapple and they have the Snapple facts, you know, you open up the Snapple and it's like, oh, fact, Arizona tea isn't brewed in Arizona. I'm like, oh, dis. A werewhale. That's an interesting concept. Now, what are some setting prompts that we can get from this character here? Well, as he is a former military man, there's some kind of a base, a military base / port. Let's see, I'm polite and respectful. I've lost too many friends and I'm slow to make new ones. Might, in life as in war, the stronger force wins. I would still lay down my life for the people I served with, and I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. We're talking about, with him being a mountain dwarf, that there is this could be a military base report as well, or elsewhere. You know, meanwhile, elsewhere in the world, there is a dwarven community, a mountain dwarf community specifically. The fun part is they're going to a town of good-natured were-rats, and their leader is a turtle. Okay. So you're flipping the expectation around. I gotcha. So aside from that, we don't have too many setting prompts. You know, because we have someone who's really just been in the military for most of his life. He's an old dwarf at 278. So he's probably been at the same desk, the same office for a good long while. Now, he's probably traveled to battlefields somewhere. So, you know, there could be some distant battlefield or country of conflict. But we're talking now from a port city or a tavern in a port city to we're building out a big geographical area. And that's fine. That's the beauty of doing these exercises with these characters. A werewhale, which is a dragon that turns into a whale when the stars align. The stars align for a year every 10 years. Something like that could be interesting too, right? Because dragons polymorph themselves into humans and do all sorts of stuff there. So who's to say that a dragon couldn't have some sort of a curse to become, instead of a land and flying creature, to become a swimming creature, because of some evolutionary quirk, magical curse, or maybe a fickle god. On the Sci-Fi Channel, there is Sharktopus versus Werewhale. I didn't know that was a thing, and it sounds very corny and goofy, and something like it would probably be fun to watch. Ah, gotcha, sheeps. That would be distracting, but of course. Now, NPCs, I think, is where this person might not have specific locales for a setting. NPCs for sure. As we have just above, I mean, for the survivors, right? We have former soldiers or their families. OP 1983, thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Yeah, please show it afterwards, sheeps. And OP, welcome, and thank you for the subscription. It's going very well. Or a curse from the Watchers in the sky that our researcher noticed. So yeah, so Raz, what that could be indicating is that we might have a some sort of a cosmic conflict brewing, where we have some, you know, extraterrestrial beings that are getting ready to have a throwdown with some subnautical beings. And then, of course, where does that leave everyone caught in between? Especially as the agents are gathering, and of course we have 6 such agents, right? So I like what you're putting down there, and I'll give you a hint here. Let me make sure. Am I clear? Coffee Cat's still in here. That's fine though. Shh, don't tell Coffee Cat this. But there's probably a theme like that running in the Tuesday game. Shh, don't let Coffee or the others know. It's our secret, okay? Random Hero, good to see you back. Welcome. Ah! Coffee got us. Everyone run! Just... Coffee's onto us. Yeah, scatter. I'll throw some capsules at him to distract him. So for NPCs, we have former soldiers. Also, if we're doing villain/rival, we entertain the idea that he left because he was receiving, right, he lost too many friends. He was receiving orders that perhaps he didn't agree with. And so we have a former commander that is either like a villain or a rival. Someone who, you know, who he left under because we have maybe an aspiring person, or someone who is too cruel, you know, more like follows the book, yes, but more in a heartless fashion. Another one that sounds like my work life. OP, I'd be scared to play in one of Maddie's games. I got to watch a game in person, and in the very short time I watched, he was killing characters left and right and cackling the whole time. I think everyone at the table is having a good time. So we have this former commander that we do not like and probably doesn't like us. It was a good time. Coffee Cat is presenting a visual timeline, but what does it mean? Let's see. I'd lay down my life for the people I served with. I'll never fully trust anyone other than myself. And now this is always something that's interesting to bring up. When you have a patron, would you want to count the patron as an NPC? I mean, technically a villain is an NPC, but you get what I'm saying. A non-hostile NPC. Or perhaps even a villain or a rival. And in this case, as we have learned from our patron, this patron is a commander that we really want to follow and has given us the things that we've needed. I would say that our patron, our Lurker patron, is an NPC for us. Yes, some patrons can be hostile, yeah. In fact, it especially says that for an infernal patron, you may have a good person serving an infernal patron, and that could lead to a bit of a tussle. And that's great storytelling as well. You know, someone who maybe needed help in a pinch ended up signing onto an infernal contract, and is trying to find a way to back out of it or fulfill the contract so they can get out of it, but doing as little damage as possible. Yeah, it depends on the patron. You're right. As for more villains or rivals, there could also be a former military commander and even surviving officers of enemy units that might want to see him put down for defeating them. Because our colonel here was very victorious. He just regrets the cost, you know, the cost of that the war took. Right? It might, in life as in war, the stronger force wins. He realizes it. Doesn't mean he likes it, but he fully realizes this. Yeah, great, I assure you, OP, great old one patrons can very much be hostile. This message brought to you by Tuesday. Is it Tuesday yet? Da-da-da-da. That next name is really killing me. Next name of what, Misfit? Do they have kids or relatives? We didn't determine that in our discussion, in our preliminary discussion, Raz. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll get to goal here in a little bit. We're going to take a break after this character first. But yeah, this person may very well have kids or relatives. Now, with the character sheet that was handed to us and with some cursory conversation that we're pretending we had with the player, we don't know if that's the case, or perhaps this colonel is, you know, maybe he went to the military and the military became his career and his life. And he saw all the soldiers that were underneath him as his kids. So he may be the last of his name. Or at least, you know, there's no further branches from the Watercourser clan coming from his twig. But you know what that could do here? Moral theme or prompts explores regret and forgiveness. Explores the concept of family and its broad definition compared to a culture that prizes a specific bloodline one. We presume that he might have an old dress uniform, though the fact that he's 200 and he's almost 300 years old, his old uniform either may not fit any longer, or it might be the old style. You know, it might be the old dress uniform. It might be the old battle uniform. You know, he was in the army before they had before they started wearing the berets. What? That's ridiculous, OP. You take that back. Yeah, he probably has a lot of stuff. Like memorabilia from battles and countries he's visited and all kinds of stuff. You know, he's probably even a little bit more of an outcast because he is a mountain dwarf, and yet he's left the mountain, he's left the homeland, and has gone out to serve under or beside or over others. Yeah, so we're getting some really good prompts out of these characters. All right, so what I want to do, everyone, let's get up and take a 10-minute break, stretch, get something to eat, something to drink. You know, if you have a pet or a loved one, you know, give them some affection. And we'll come back in about 10 minutes, and we're going to go through the other 3 characters, Gol de Fish, Kilabes de Smolok, and Vaska the Shepherd, and see if we can pull more information from them, and then we can even just take an overarching look afterwards about what we've been able to pull and maybe even find some more connections. And of course, dun, da, 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 if any of you want to pull capsules or pop boxes, this would be an awesome opportunity to do so before we start up into the next part.